What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're talking about pain. In fact, I came across an article in Time Online and it's titled The Surprising Health Benefits of Pain. And you won't be surprised that we're going to be tying this into running. So let's get into it. Thanks for making it through that intro, and of course I will place a link to this article in the show notes below in case you want to click on it and read for yourself. Okay, so the article starts out by talking about cryotherapy. Has anyone ever done that? I haven't. In fact, I don't know, I feel a little scared. Like if I was given the option to do it right now, I don't know if I'd take it. But apparently it can be good for you, and it feels pretty good, at least when you get out of the cryo tank. But cryotherapy really isn't what we're talking about. What we're talking about is some research that has been done, well, it's been done for a little while now. Like the article says, over the last decade, that there has been research into showing how a little bit of pain and discomfort in moderate amounts. So, we're not talking about, holding our hand to a hot stove. That's just silly. But pain in moderate amounts can actually trigger benefits for physical and mental health. And of course, research has included exercise, so cardio exercise, weightlifting, ice baths, steam baths, saunas, fasting, eating spicy foods, and even holding your breath, right? These are all the type of things that are going to create some discomfort and hopefully benefit us in some way. So it seems crazy that, we would actively seek out pain in order to better our health. But I've got to say, a lot of us probably actually do that anyway. The only difference is we're not actually labeling it that we're putting ourselves in pain in order to better our health. We just call it running. And that is sometimes, I suppose, on certain types of runs, but for some people, it's going to be every run. Sometimes running can feel painful. Not the bad pain, not like injury pain, but a good kind of pain, like tired muscles or being out of breath. And that discomfort, when we boil it down, is just stress. And stress starts at the cellular level. So when people get stressed, the balance of oxygen in our cells, it gets disrupted. And in response to that stress, the mitochondria jump into work and they do what they do. And basically they overcome the problem. Now, when the mitochondria are done overcoming that problem, they produce a waste product. Now that waste product is called reactive oxygen species. And what happens is when we're exposed to too much toxic stresses, so like cigarette smoke or drinking mercury or like constant emotional strain, right? The mitochondria are going to be doing their work to overcome it. They're going to be putting out a lot of waste product, and that waste product can actually weaken cells, and those weakening cells could lead to disease, right? So at this point you're thinking that stress is bad. But the good stress we're talking about is hormetic stress. Now, hormetic stress is a bit more manageable. It's the type of stress that bends us but doesn't break us, and that's thanks to a protein called NRF-2. Now, this protein, NRF2, goes straight to the DNA and it signals the cells to make a team of smaller cells which are really good at fighting stress. Now, when this protein, NRF2, goes into action, it goes straight to the DNA, it hangs onto the rungs, and it signals the cells to make lots of smaller proteins. And those smaller proteins go to work fighting stress. Now, don't ask me how it's different from the mitochondria kind of fighting stress, but it is. Or at least that's what the article says. Someone smarter than me is going to have to explain it to you in a little more detail if you want to know more. But anyway, these other proteins that have been signaled by the NRF2 protein, they go to work and they clean up all that oxygen waste. And basically they are transforming this hazmat site of your body into prime real estate. They can also detoxify and repair broken cells, and that boosts your health and makes you more resilient. It's really like a rags to riches or a lemons to lemonade story in which stress actually becomes beneficial. And look, there's already been promising research that has linked hormetic stress to the prevention of cancer, dementia, and heart disease. Pretty good. Anyway, most of the research into hormetic stress is centered around exercise. Basically, the muscles are deprived of oxygen and that produces the stress. And what do you and I do on like almost daily basis? We deprive our muscles of oxygen through running. You probably wondered when I was actually going to tie this into running itself, but there it is. Now look, if you're depriving your muscles of oxygen, then I suppose you have to be in an anaerobic state. Remember, aerobic is with oxygen, anaerobic without. So it means that this stress that you have to put yourself under in order to kind of make this hormetic stress and then get all the benefits from it is probably going to be a little uncomfortable, right? This article did start out by saying that there were some benefits to pain. And if I'm totally honest, going for a run actually really isn't that painful, but running in an anaerobic state really can be. So you're probably going to have to put in a bit of work if you want to trigger this hormetic stress. Anyway, we already talked about other examples of hormetic stress like calorie restriction, and of course science has already shown that when we restrict calories in mice, they live longer, and scientists think this is due to hormetic stress. And that hormetic stress opens the NRF2 pathways, and then the NRF2 protein just goes to work doing what it does and makes these little mice super healthy. Now, this NRF2 protein is also triggered by certain foods, so like super spicy peppers, green tea, and broccoli. So like really, you could skip breakfast, go for a run, and have a pepper broccoli broccoli and green tea smoothie and you will just be living your healthiest life. But here's the thing, and this might be good news to some of you, because many stresses, they work through the same pathways. If we experience one type of stress on a daily basis, it can make us more resilient to additional types of stress. So one type of stress that triggers the NRF2 protein is going to make you better at other types of stresses that will also trigger that NRF2 protein. Get this, the article says that the best way to warm up to tough stresses is to bring the heat. And researchers have found that getting in a hot tub or getting in a sauna can actually prime the stress pathways that lead to exercise. So what that means is, if you regularly get into a hot tub or a sauna and you don't already like to run, by getting in the hot tub or the sauna, you're priming yourself and you will be more likely to want to exercise. So if you're not hearing me, I am telling you that just going and sitting in a hot tub for a bit, it's going to make you want to run. And if you want to run, you'll run better. So technically, sitting in a hot tub is training for a marathon. Was that too much of a leap? Maybe. Now, the article does say that it may take up to 4 weeks of going in a hot tub, or listen, I shouldn't just say getting in a hot tub, it's heat exposure. By exposing yourself to heat, it may take up to 4 weeks of doing this to establish that cellular groundwork before you're going to want to go for a run. But now I say want to go for a run. If you don't already want to go for a run, I don't know. Now I'm starting to question the article. But look, it's worth a try. If you have a hot tub, or maybe if you just have a bathtub, like you could try soaking in that for a bit, see how it works out. Look, I'll be totally honest with you. I haven't had a bath in like 30 years. Probably not going to start now. So if anyone has a bath or a hot tub and you want to give it a 4-week experiment, I'd love for you to check back in 4 weeks. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you actually feel like running a bit more than you do today. Oh, and another good thing, we can actually cross-strain. And I said cross-strain, not cross-train. But we can cross-strain for increased benefits. So if you want to get the most NRF2 protein that you can, we could do several things that trigger the NRF2 protein. And the article actually suggests exercising and fasting, which we all know is probably not the best thing. But forget all the intelligent things that you know about not fueling enough for your exercise and just step outside that and we'll listen to what the article says. But if you do run in a fasted state, perhaps that doubling up on the NRF2 protein and you're going to be even healthier. The article also points out that it could be pretty beneficial to mix heat and endurance exercise. And I was really happy to see that because, as you know, I live in Florida and for a lot of the time it's very hot here. And I'm also still running in the heat. So I might have been getting these extra benefits all along. Now, the article is quick to point out, because I think they'd get in trouble if they didn't, that if you are doing endurance exercise in a high heat environment, to hydrate well and avoid extreme heat. That's common sense. But it's common sense that we have to hear time and time again so we don't get too addicted to getting those NRF2 proteins and go out and running in the middle of the day in summer. Oh, and you can also get a benefit from running in an oxygen depleted state. So think high altitude. And like every professional athlete out there knows that training at high altitude provides some benefits. So again, with a small leap, if training at high altitude provides these benefits to activate the NRF2 protein, and it's mentioned in the same article as sitting in a hot tub, then I would say that the hot tub idea may be valid. Thoughts? Anyway, if you have made it to this point in the video, why don't you drop a glass of wine emoji in the comments, just so I know that you've made it to this point in the video. Because, I mean, if you're going to be sitting in a hot tub, you may as well hydrate. And if you're in a hot tub, you probably want a glass of wine or something. I don't know. I don't have a hot tub and I don't drink, so I will be doing neither. But I like the idea of it. Okay, be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.